All right. Welcome to the Jax podcast, where we talk about the journey and experiences of the people I've met along my journey. And today we have David Lopez. I'm so excited to talk with you, David. I think you're like the funniest guy I've met and stuff, too. I always crack up being around you, and you just always have a good energy and spirit. But yeah, if you can just take us back, a little, however far you want to go, talk about some things that you've gone through that have brought you to where you are today.
Sure. So when I was born, no, I was, I've started my own, I left New York. I came to Florida in 2014. I started my IT consulting business at that time. And the reason why is because at the time I was working with a lot of, clients. I had my day job and then I was working with some clients after work. And a lot of them wanted me to stay and work with them remotely. But instead of working with just one company, I decided to open up my own and have them as clients. So I've been managing, a couple of offices in from New York remotely. Every now and then I go up to New York and I visit the office for, any hands-ons. Um, and that's how it's been till the pandemic. The business dialed down. Some of them weren't able to make it out. Um, some of them are still struggling actually. So business, and workload went down for me. So I took the opportunity to get into real estate. Now, I was a part of real estate as far as like I was introduced twice because I was purchasing homes. And both situations, I was dealing with a lot of sharks. So they were trying to get over on me. They thought that, oh, new homeowner, they could, get over. And so I had to educate myself. So I picked up a couple of books, started learning about the real estate space, and so on and so forth. And it's funny because the first book that I had bought when I was in Brooklyn in 2005, and I remember this because it was right after the New Year's, was Dean DeGracio. And so I still have that book. And so I read through that and I didn't believe that you can come in with no money and kind of become a part of real estate. Anyway, so later, fast forward to when I started reading into the real estate, I started learning a little bit about it just by reading, some books. I said I want to return to do real estate. At that time, work was busy, so I wasn't able to kind of really learn. I
Mm.
always wanted to do some type of investment, so I also learn investments. So I fast forward, pandemic comes, clients, workload decreases. I said, all right, I'm gonna get into real estate now. This is the time. I'm not gonna go get more, IT customers. I don't want to deal with that. I also do some coding and development and stuff like that. I didn't want to do that. So I decided to go full blown into real estate. So I was thinking about purchasing property in Puerto Rico. That's why what me and my wife wanted to do. And because I knew that I was going to spend a lot of time in Puerto Rico anyway, and they were giving tax incentives.
Mm.
So then we ran into Pace's videos. Read Pace's videos. We was watching, and it kind of clicked with some of the stuff that I was reading. And I said, I think this is a good idea because the economy is going to go bad. The economy is going bad. Um, so as you can see, interest rates were going to rise as I, kind of figured. And people are going to have a hard time keeping their homes, number one. And number two, that's, the creative solutions that we were seeing through Pace kind of opened up our eyes and said, okay, we can do this. We can
Mhm.
step in and we could do this. Now, granted, we wasn't doing too great at the time as far as like we was hovering above waters. But this is something that I feel like when you have an investment, you just go all in. You just got to take action, and that's it. So we did, and we joined the mentorship about April. What's crazy is that we're in the mentorship, and we haven't monetized off of it, but we gained in so many other things.
Mhm.
Um, and then economically things just started gradually becoming better for us. Whatever, it worked out that way, but it wasn't because of real. It hasn't been because of real estate, right?
Yeah,
Which is weird. But there are some other ways that the community kind of benefited, or benefits us.
that's
And
amazing.
yeah, so now we're full blown in it. We're learning it. We're trying to not full blown because I still got to do some work as an IT manager.
Hmm.
But yeah, we're leaning more into doing a lot of these extra, projects and these new things that the community is presenting with us. And then that's where we are right now.
Okay, nice. And what made you guys decide to move to Florida?
So we was in we I lived in all five. There's five boroughs. I lived in four of the five boroughs. So I lived in Brooklyn, I lived in the Bronx, I lived in Queens, and I lived in Manhattan. So we lived in Manhattan the last year for a year,
Uh-huh.
right? And I'm New York. I know everything the ins and outs of New York. I'm totally comfortable with it. But everybody talks about how you make a lot of money in New York, and that money gets sucked right back out by the
Hmm.
the city. So you can't park, like you little things like right now you can park wherever you want to park. Over there,
Yeah.
if you park on the side of the street, you're gonna have to pay a certain amount of money just for
Hmm.
parking on the side of the street. So there's little things like that you just can't escape them. So as you make that big money, you just give it right back to the city. So we
Hmm.
saw that, and we're like, we're not growing. So we're okay, but we're not growing. We're not taking it to another level. We're not seeing, like, there wasn't a clear future, a clear path ahead of us. So we said, and we always talked about leaving New York. It just didn't. It just the question was where, and it made sense that we came down to Florida. Just because I lived here before, you know.
Okay.
When I was young, when I was in 2000, when in actually 1999, I had moved down to Florida for about a year and came back 2000. So I was familiar with Florida, even though it was like night and day. It wasn't the same Florida,
Yeah,
but
I feel like that's a big difference.
yeah, 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 it was huge. So, and I'm a coffee drinker, by the way, so you already know. So, yeah, so we came down here because it wasn't making sense economically. You know, I was like, we had Lucas. Lucas was young. He would go to the sitter. Sitter had him basically all day. Karina was working all day. I was working all day, and we just saw the baby to put him to sleep at night.
Oh.
So it was difficult to do that. Then my older son, who was from my previous marriage, it was difficult to get around to him. He lived in the Bronx. I lived in Queens. I had to take two, three buses to go get him,
Man.
and then take him to baseball and then do all of that. So it was taking its toll. So me, my ex-wife, Karina, the kids, we all agreed that Florida would be a nice destination to go to, that we would probably be best there. We have family there, stuff like that. So we all came down together,
Your ex-wife too?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Her husband, because she was married at the time too. So her husband,
Awesome.
my oldest son, with her, Karina, her son, and then my son,
Hmm.
with her,
Yeah.
with Karina. So then we all came down here 2014,
Oh,
and
wow.
we said, like, all right, let's leave this rat race of New York, and we're gonna be down here. And it was the best move I've ever done.
Did you like that city pace though? Like just how fast things were, or you didn't like it?
I love it. I
I
am
feel
a
like you seem
city
that
boy.
kind of guy.
I
Yeah.
am a city boy. I like to be on the run, on the run, on the run. But that would be selfish of me.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I wasn't seeing my kid. My kid wasn't seeing me. You know,
Hmm.
it's a couple hours. And then it just that economically it didn't make sense. Eventually, I wouldn't be able to do a couple, some things with my son, and it was just gonna go down from there. So we was just like, let's give Florida a try. We've been talking about leaving anyway, you know. So everybody had different reasons for leaving. Mine was always economical. It just didn't make
Mm-hmm.
sense.
So do
So
you see yourself staying in Florida, or would you
I'm
go
not, yeah,
somewhere?
I'm not going anywhere. I mean, unless it starts flooding and stuff like that, or we start going through an apocalypse. I don't think, you know, I don't think I'm
Uh,
going anywhere.
so you're an IT guy. How did you even get into that? Because I feel like that's
So
you
in
talked about it before. You're like a little bit of a nerd, right? You consider yourself a nerd?
I'm a super nerd. Yeah, yeah, I'm a super nerd. So in 2000, I want to say 7, I went back to school. That was the same year that, well, actually, yeah, 2005, 2006. I split from my first marriage, and when I left there, um, immediately I said I'm going to school. I just need to do something different, right? So then the ambition started kicking in after that. So um I went to school, I did, and then I had a choice. So I could do graphic designing because that's what I was doing. So I was designing catalogs, I was doing, doing the Adobe Photoshop, Adobe InDesign, whatever. And for a costume jewelry company. And so I decided, all right, do I go to school for graphic designing and further my career there, or do I go into a skill, which is more,
Mm,
so one is more artsy and one is more skill. So the one that was safest was the skill because
mm,
now I have a son. You know what I mean? So I can't take a chance of having a project for a couple of months and then not have a project at all. With
yeah.
IT, there's always a job. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got into IT, and then I went in full blown into that. Did about 2 years, and then did about 2 more years in the University of Phoenix online, and which was interesting because when I was doing that online, I had like 3 other jobs.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what were your other jobs?
So they were all in the IT field. Uh one was for a consulting company, and I was stationed in Vibe magazine. Remember Vibe magazine?
No.
No? Okay, so Vibe magazine is like a hip hop magazine that they used to have
Okay.
out. So I was stationed in their office.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, so then the other one was a project management team, and I wound up doing more project management than I did IT there, but um I learned a lot about buildings and codes and zones in New York because that's the way it kind of works over there. Like over here, you hear single family home, multi-family home. Over there is zones. Like they'll have a zone for stores. They'll have a residential zone. So
Yeah.
then that's where you put your, where people will live. So it could be a 6-story apartment building, or it could be a 3-story apartment building, but that's residential. That's for people to live. And then
Mm,
there's places where they'll have like restaurants, and so they have different zones. It's weird. And also you got to pay for the air. So if you
yeah.
want to put in a building that's 57 stories, you got a lot for that. So
Hmm.
it's just weird. Anyway, so then I worked for there. That was it's a consulting company, and we was doing like expediting and stuff like that. So a lot of work for a lot of building owners, commercial and residential. um if you in New York, if you change plans for your home, like if you change anything in the bathroom, you better file a plan with the city, because if you don't, that's a problem.
Yeah.
um so then I did that, and then the third one was, it was a another consulting company. It was just project based, so they would just grab me like every once in a blue, but most of the time it was for like hedge funds, or yeah,
Mm,
like Wall Street guys, go into
yeah.
their office. Ever see the Wall Street guys? They're yelling and screaming and stuff like that. So I would go to their office, set up computers, move computers left and right, stuff like
Uh,
that.
oh
Yeah.
wow, man, you've done a lot. So with the designing, graphic designing, is that something you're still interested in? Like, do you still have that
I still
artsy?
do it. Yeah, I still
Yeah.
do it. Yeah, I mean, I still like today I was gonna change the thumbnails for the videos
Hmm.
that I put up on the channel.
Yeah.
So I'm still messing around with Adobe Photoshop. I think um I created a mouse or something, or a dog. It was a dog in Adobe Illustrator. It was, I guess, his logo for a car wash, a local car wash guy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think I have a video on YouTube, but I took it off. I didn't take it off. I left it there. I just made it unpublic since I started this project. But
Uh-huh.
how I created it. So yeah, I still mess around. I still dabble with it. So like if somebody asks me to do something, I'll probably do it.
That's cool. Good to know. So, do you have anything like that you do when you're maybe stressed out, or you've got, because it sounds like you do a lot of things, but what do you like to do in your free time to kind of relax and just unwind?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Or you're always go, go, go? I see you at the
Yeah,
pool a lot.
yeah, like that's family time, right?
Hmm.
So my son will ask me, oh, he'll come in here, he'll ask me, can we go to the pool and stuff like that. It's hard to say no.
Hmm.
But yeah, usually like I will, like when they come home from school, because Lucas and Karina go to the same school. She teaches, he goes to that school. So I try to stop, like peel myself away and kind of hang out with them a little bit. And in the weekends, we'll try to, go to the back and just hang out, and that's probably my downtime.
Hmm.
Sometimes we'll watch something. Lately, we've been watching more real estate stuff. So YouTubing the hell out of real estate.
Yeah.
Um, before we used to binge a little bit on shows, and we've kind of like we don't even know what's on TV anymore.
Uh-huh.
So,
It's
and then now
funny.
me and Karina are actually going to the meetups. But as you saw, I'm starting to take the boys to some of
Hmm.
them, especially if they're family friendly, because I want them to see that environment and to see that those personalities exist. Because when
Yeah.
I was young, I didn't have those personalities in Brooklyn, New York.
Hmm.
So, it was a different type of atmosphere, different type
Hmm.
of person that you're dealing with over there.
Yeah.
So
How did you and Karina meet?
It's just funny. We met in junior high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we met in junior high school, and she went off, graduated. I went off, graduated. We went our separate ways. We never hooked up in junior high school, but
Hmm.
we know each other. We was like kind of like in the same circle. She got married, had her kid. I got married, had my kid, and then we relinked later on. You know,
Okay.
So, but I've known her since junior high school.
Wow, that's crazy.
Hmm.
And you mentioned how with your ex-wife, it seems like you all get along.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Does she know her too?
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're like best friends. They're both. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. So yeah, so I always kept, I always keep things to myself, right?
Mm,
So when me and my first marriage, it didn't end too great. As
mm,
far as like, we was able to just do things together as far as the baby's concerned.
mhm,
But it wasn't the greatest relationship. But I never really highlighted that. So when I started with Karina, I wasn't bad mouthing my ex-wife every
mhm.
minute that I had. Just because I know that she's gonna have to be there forever. You
Yeah.
understand that she's the mother of my child, and that yeah, I already knew that.
Mhm,
So when the time came that we like got together, you know, they didn't have no animosity towards each other. And then
that's
Karina came out so far along after her that it wasn't not even that big of a deal. So when they met, everybody was cool. Plus, she was married at the time anyway, so it worked
yeah.
out. You know, like, oh, you married, great, cool. Now I can introduce you.
Mhm,
So turned out to be cool. And the thing is that it's chess, not checkers, right? So you got to understand, like, you got now two extra people in your family. So she
Mm-hmm.
has a husband that she's got to look after my son when I'm not there and help her. And
Mm-hmm.
then I got Karina that's got to, and then I do that, the same thing for Karina. So you're really expanding your family to people. So animosity between that group really can't exist.
Yeah.
You know what I
I love
mean?
I love that you said that because I think it's really hard sometimes for people to get along and kind of look past that. But like you said, I think the bigger picture is just it's the kids, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I've seen too many people just use the kids to kind of like go at each other. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? I've seen that a lot. Like I
It's so
told you, it's not a good place where I'm from. A lot of personalities. Let's leave it like
uh-huh.
that. Yeah. So,
Okay. So, do you have any type of advice that you would give to someone that's coming into it can be broad entrepreneurship, working for themselves or even real estate related, but just what advice would you give even for to yourself if you could go back when you started?
hmm. Well, I don't know, because I enjoyed every step. Um, how how I how I focused on the process. I don't know how I got there. There'd been some frustration. I would say that don't get in real estate. If you're coming into real estate, don't get deal drunk.
Hmm.
It'll happen. Um, and as far as like for when I was starting my IT, it was landing a job. And I wasn't able to land a job for a little bit for certain reasons. And eventually I did, and I wound up landing a great job.
Hmm.
So, but I had to I had to like and learn from the process that I was going through. I had to be present in the process, and I think everybody should be present in the process. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, try to learn exactly what you're doing and how this is going to help you in the future and stuff like that. Just don't focus on just the goal, and then because you're going to get frustrated. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You don't want to get frustrated. You get frustrated, it takes away from the ability to learn.
Yep, 100%. I love that. That was a great answer. Okay, David. Well, where can people find you if they want to look at what you've got going on?
I'm on planet Earth. Nah, just on my IG, my Facebook is the same, D Lopez 079, and then the YouTube is D Lopez 079 079. Somebody
Hmm.
took the 079. But to be honest with you, I think it was me, and I messed something up, and then I couldn't get access to the name anymore. But whatever.
That's hilarious. Oh, David, I love talking with you, and I'm excited to see you. I know I'm going to see you on Thursday, and
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
think that's so amazing that you're really trying to just bring your kids up with being surrounded by people that you weren't surrounded by until a later age. Like, that's such an advantage for them. And your boys definitely have a great role model looking up after you.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.
Aaron, sounds good.